speaking with me today. It's an absolute pleasure. I've heard absolutely wonderful things about you. And so I would love to kick this off with just hearing a little bit about yourself, and I'll tell you a little bit about me.
Okay. My name is Melinda Rodriguez. I am a recovering addict. I did a lot of time in jail, prison. I'm 42 years old. I've been clean as of November 17th, 3 years. Yes. I done a lot to change my life, and it wasn't easy. It was very hard. I had to let go of a lot of things and people that I didn't want to let go, toxic relationships. But through the journey, it only makes us stronger. And I got introduced to Reading Legacies while I was incarcerated with my last term in Las Colinas, which was amazing and great because I got to read books to my granddaughter, my first granddaughter. So it was great.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
A little bit about myself. My name is Elizabeth Banker, and I am one of the board of trustees on Reading Legacies. And I come from a broken home. I was addicted to drugs at 16. And from 16 at 16, I moved to LA. And long story short, when I turned 18, I joined the military, and it's been amazing ever since. But when I heard about Reading Legacies, for me, it was about the fact that I was never read to growing up, and the life we led, you don't realize that another life exists. It's all you
Right.
know. And I have a ton of friends that are that I have lost due to addiction that are currently incarcerated, and I have some of my best friends who just hit 4 years 3 days ago, clean and sober, and so that was pretty amazing. And so for me, hearing what Reading Legacies was all about, and the fact that it's all about connecting children to their families and the power of reading, it's something that I so badly would have wished and hoped for when my dad was in prison, and to know the feeling of wanting that connection as a child. It means the world to even be on this board, and then to be able to speak to someone like you with this background and being a success story is just an honor. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing. You're a success story yourself. You're an example for women like us who continue to want to strive for something better. So thank you.
Thank you. How has reading to a loved one impacted you?
So honestly, when I first heard about it, I was, walking around through the day room, and I was looking through programs to do stuff, and I was really sad because I wasn't able to talk to my kids or my granddaughter who's just barely be born. And somebody said, you know what? You can do this program called Reading Legacies, and you get to read to them. And I thought, wow, you know what? I remember reading to my kids when they were little, but I've been fighting addiction since I was 13. So, I've been in and out of their lives. So they didn't get that consistency from me. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to sign up. If it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be. And I didn't expect it to be what it was. I was just like, okay, we're going to read a book. We're going to send it off, whatever. But it was an amazing experience. When I walked in there, they treated us like we were human beings. We got to pick out the books we wanted. I even read one in English and Spanish. And let me tell you, my Spanish is better now, but at the time it was so broken. It sounded so funny, but it was just great. And then my mom, I sent them to my mom at first. And so my mom was listening, and my mom was just crying. She just thought, wow. And I want to cry right now thinking about it, because it's that experience that even though she doesn't know me, I wasn't there when she was born. She's hearing my voice. It was a great experience. And I was sad after my last one.
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so to even have that connection, feeling a part of your granddaughter's development and seeing the connection and stuff like that. For me, when I was growing up, there was no such thing as having an imagination. There was no such thing as, that you don't put yourself out there, right? You kind of stay closed. And when you're incarcerated, it's even worse, right? How did you get past being uncomfortable with that?
You know what? It comes with a lot of forgiveness of self.
Yeah.
A lot of forgiveness of self, forgiving ourselves and knowing that we are worth giving ourselves that own chance, and a lot of change. You got to want to change it. You got to say, hey, you know what? That's not who I was. Who I was yesterday is not who I am today. I might not have been there to read her first book face to face, but I was there and sent her first book while I was incarcerated. She got to hear grandma's voice. And now I get to FaceTime her and all three of them, I'm not the Melinda that people used to know. And I don't allow anybody to take me back to that either. I've come to terms with who I was and maybe who I am. And all I can do is continue to do better. And I want to help others to see the same thing.
I think that was one of the biggest challenges for me is that we don't have a choice as children who our parents are, right? And some don't. But there comes a point in our lives where we do get to choose. And I think a lot of times you live this life continuously, you can't see past it. And so the fact that you're able to see that and be like, no, I'm better than who I was yesterday, than who I was a year ago. And so I absolutely love that. So thank you for sharing that. How has being incarcerated impacted the relationship with your loved ones?
So it took a while. I'm going to be honest. It took them a while to really believe me this time. Yeah. I was in a really bad toxic relationship for a while, and men have been a big downfall. I grew up, I don't know, I want to say super broken, but I grew up in a dysfunctional family, no father. My mom was married numerous times. I went through a lot of sexual abuse. I grew up in a home to where whatever goes on at home stays at home. Yep. You don't talk about anything out there. You go outside and play. Yeah, go have fun. Go outside and play, but you don't talk about what goes on. You become what you are taught sometimes. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
so throughout this incarceration, every time I went in there, it was just like, wow. But I read over 300 books. And I got to escape and live in those fantasy worlds. Like, wow, I didn't know families had good homes like that. Or, one of my favorite authors is Karen Kingsbury. She's a Christian fiction. I've read almost every single one, and I would get lost. Thinking, wow, there are broken homes that, through a greater power than us, that is going to, strengthen us and get us out of there. So I think this last term really changed my life. I didn't go back to my ex-husband. No. I'm still single.
Yeah.
Still doing me, still working on me, but I just think that it's just all about time and when we're ready to grow from it.
Yep. I remember when I called my mom and my sister, and I just turned 18, and I was like, I'm joining the military. And I remember my mom just laughing on the phone. She's like, yeah, right. Nobody, because I was obviously a wild child. So she's like, nobody can tell you what to do. But it wasn't until they got an invitation for my graduation where they're like, she joined boot camp. She's in the Navy, It takes that moment of, for me, when from 14 to 16 is when I was fully into drugs. I was raising my sisters prior to that, and then got tired of it, left, fell into drugs heavily. And it was a 3-night bender where I had completely forgotten what had happened the last 3 days. I hadn't eaten. I remember looking in the mirror. Here I am at 16, and I looked like I was 50. And I couldn't remember the people I was with. I couldn't remember anything. And so I ended up stealing my mom's bank card, and I booked a flight to Los Angeles. That was the moment that I had realized that I can't keep living this life, and I wanted a better life for my sisters and less. But that was one of 1,000 moments where I was like, I'm going to be different, and people stop believing you, and they stop believing in you because it's like, oh, you're a broken record, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you just need that one time to stick. And it's clear for you that one time was that last call saying, this is it. I'm changing. I'm a new person.
Yeah. But it made me who I am. So through all the bad comes the good. So, I'm just grateful that I'm clean and sober today, and I'm able to help other people, and, especially through a connection with families and reading. I think it's very important. So important.
Yeah, 100%. I can't That's the one thing, is that it doesn't matter at what point or when or how. What matters is at this point in your life right now, you are who you are, right? So yeah, I completely agree. Do you have any specific memories of being read to as a child?
No,
No. Yep. Me neither.
nothing.
What's funny is I didn't even realize for me, when I first heard about Reading Legacies, my biggest thing was knowledge is power. And for me, as a teenager and even as an adult in the military in the first couple of years, I never picked up a book. And I didn't realize that there's women all over the country that aren't even allowed to read because it is education. It teaches you things. It teaches you, you can pick up a book and learn anything. And for me, that's this is it, read these books. There's a way out of the life that you have. You can break this cycle. And so that was my when I heard about Reading Legacies, I'm like, God, reading is power. But then the more that I started to do research on the impact of reading with your children and the connection and how the science behind it, that's when I was like, oh my God, I just would have loved for my mom to be at home. That would have been enough for me. Reading is a whole nother level. But when you see the impact of children, that this program has had on these children, it fills voids, right? All of us end up with voids in our life, and we're broken here and there, and this program can fill those voids with children who miss their fathers or mothers or sisters. When did you realize the impact of reading to your grandchildren or the importance of it?
You know what is when my daughter told me that my granddaughter loves books. She told me, she goes, Mom, she loves books. And the honey book, the Berenstain Bears, the honey book. Yeah, that's her favorite. Honey book, Gamma, honey book. So she told me she just loves them. She loves them. I just recently went to visit them, and I took a bunch of books that were donated, and it was more surprising than seeing a baby doll.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She wants to read, sit down right here, Gamma. Her sentences are really clear. So yes.
Oh my God.
It was the moment that my daughter had told me she loves to read, when she was able to start getting the books.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got to be a part of it.
Yes.
So awesome. How do you feel that Reading Legacies helped change your relationship with your grandchildren and even your children?
I wasn't being selfish. I did something for them. Part of it, it's selfishness because I wanted to feel some type of connection, of course. Yeah. But it hurt my mom to see me sitting there in a suit and all that, because, they never have come to visit me when I'm in there. It's really hard for them. But to see that I got myself a little fixed up and I sat there and read a book to them, and I tried it in Spanish and I continued with it. I didn't give up. I did every session because, as an addict, a lot of times, we don't go through with everything. We don't complete things. So
follow through is not necessarily the top quality.
Yes. And I followed through with it. And I think that was really important to see that I continued with it, and they looked forward to it. And they were sad that it was going to be over too, but my release date was soon after that. So it was okay.
I think the impact, if I were in a situation like that, especially as a child, would just to show that you cared. You know what I mean? Cared enough to take the time to do something like that is, to me, probably what would be the most impactful thing. And then without even realizing it as a child, you're building your developmental skills and everything else that goes into reading. So it's a twofold, right?
Yes, I agree.
Awesome. What do you see are the benefits of reading to children out loud, based off of all of your experiences with Reading Legacies, and now even now that you're not incarcerated?
The benefits of especially reading out loud is the expressions. It's the feeling, the vibe. They're feeling that too. So like when I read the honey book, and the dad said, "Oh, we're gonna go get the honey," and I'm like, "Oh, the dad is gonna go find honey," and she's like, "Oh my God!" That connection, that vibe, that feeling that you get, and you're interacting with them, and you're making the book come to life. It's an amazing connection. And I feel that's where we're getting so lost in today, is that there's not enough of that.
Yep.
There's not enough. It's like, I think that connection is super important. And I want everybody to experience that.
For me, it was crazy how uncomfortable I was with having an imagination and just letting myself go and looking silly. You said, making it come to life. And now when I look at my children's eyes and I see them and I'm like, you talk about the honey and he goes again, and they're like, their eyes are just lit up and they're in it, and you can see they're so present and so engaged, and you're like, it fills your heart so much. I will be the biggest goofball, you name it, to get that expression, to see them engaged. And like you said, and then them to come to you and say, Mommy, I want another book. Grandma,
yeah,
book, another one. You're like, oh my God, it just fills your heart with so much joy. So what are some of the challenges in your experience with all of this that you faced just in doing this in general and getting comfortable with being in front of a camera and the whole process itself?
Not sounding right. Maybe it's definitely, my words are probably not the best. I'm not super educated. I just barely got my high school diploma in 2018. I'm 42. So that was a challenge within itself, Yeah, I think I just get a little bit more, maybe I'm not saying things right. I don't want to hurt anybody, make anybody feel uncomfortable. But at the same time, I need people to understand that this is real. Addiction is real life. There's life out there that's not all peaches and cream and a picket white fence. There's people going through some real things. Yep. And I want everybody to have that opportunity, like what we had, that chance to try to change our life.
Women right now that are incarcerated, that have children, grandchildren, they're sitting there watching this video and they're like on the fence of doing this, right? What would you tell them?
Not to worry about what everybody else is thinking. Do it for yourself. You got to do it for yourself. We carry a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, a lot of anger against ourselves. Our families, whether they get over it or not, or whether they want to forgive us or not, that's on them. Do it for yourself. So you took that opportunity. You took those steps to do something for your children or your grandchildren. Don't think it's silly, because it's not. I thought it'd be like, oh, I could reach out my grandchildren, but it was an amazing experience. My granddaughter got to see grandma read a book, and she got the book, you know? So don't feel ashamed. Don't feel, we all are imperfect. We're human, but it's the next steps that we take to make ourselves better, which is a ricochet effect on everybody else, as long as we stay consistent in doing the right thing.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. You can come look for me. You can come look for me. You will not be disappointed, because you're going to feel so much overwhelming love in your heart when you do that first video. I'm not lying. It's an amazing feeling. It doesn't matter what the outside world thinks. It's what you're doing, and you're going to feel like, wow, I did this. It's a great connection. Yes. Do it. Try it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for meeting with me. I am just absolutely honored, and talking with you more. I really can't wait to connect in person. And
me neither. I can't wait.
We're going to cross paths again and hopefully do some helping with some much needed people along San Diego and hopefully even further.
Yes, I look forward to it. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for sharing your story. You're an inspiration to all of us women. Keep fighting the good fight. We got this.
You too. Congratulations, clean and sober. It's no easy feat, and there's going to be a million instances and a million different people that will try and bring you down. But like you said, nobody can bring you down but you.
Right. That's right. All right.